Kia ora, this is Arun Jacob, your friendly and frank licensed New Zealand immigration advisor as well as education advisor, coming to you with yet another immigration update from the lovely AJV Global Studios here in Hamilton, New Zealand. For those of you who follow my updates and those of my colleagues, you must be wondering, what the heck is this guy talking about immigration updates from New Zealand when all you hear constantly is that the borders are shut? Well, being the eternal optimist that I am and the rest of my team is, we are absolutely positive that it is not a question of if, but when the borders will open. And hence, I feel it is very important for all you lovely people who are desirous of coming into New Zealand eventually, either as a student or as a worker or a skilled migrant or an entrepreneur, to know what is happening here in New Zealand at the moment. Well, here are the latest updates from New Zealand, brought to you exclusively by AJV Global. Well, the good news is that the government has decided that all visitor visas will be extended automatically by a further 2 months, with the possibility that they could be extended up to 6 months as well. You don't have to do anything, it's an automatic extension, and at the end of the day, you will not be unlawful in New Zealand. Having said that, get onto the immigration website and go through the update that they have provided for the specifics about the dates and everything else. But all I can tell you at a top level is that visitor visas are being extended by a further 2 months, with a possibility that the extension can go on till 6 months. The second update is about the news you would have all heard by now, that Immigration New Zealand has decided to close its offices in Manila, Mumbai, and Pretoria, and Beijing. Now, these were 4 of the largest offshore offices they had, and to shut them down is probably sending out a signal that New Zealand is not interested any longer to have an active migration program. I can assure you, as a veteran of this industry of 17 years, that New Zealand will want to continue to attract high-quality visitors, students, investors, entrepreneurs, workers, and skilled migrants. It is just a temporary phase when COVID is still raging around the world, and because Immigration New Zealand is not able to get the revenues that it normally gets from the application processes, they have decided they're going to cut down their costs as well. Additionally, Immigration New Zealand has been working on a software for many years now, and they're trying to automate the process as much as possible. And I believe they're taking this opportunity to try and work more on that rather than the physical offices that were present around the world. So do not be perturbed. It's only going to be a move in the right direction. And the moment the border situation is normalized, Immigration New Zealand is going to be working in a more efficient manner. And also, coming to the question of, so what happens to my application that I submitted to one of these branches before Immigration New Zealand decided to close? Not to worry about it. All those applications will be moved onshore here into New Zealand, and they will still be processed out of the offices that are open here in New Zealand at Manukau, Palmerston North, and various other centers all across New Zealand. One other contingent of people, of course, who are extraordinarily curious about what's going to happen to New Zealand borders and when they can enter the country are international students. And I love you guys and girls. International students have been the backbone of AJV Global, and I'm pleased to say that the government of New Zealand has you on a high priority list, which is why they said they're going to allow 1,000 international students into the country who had already visas and had started their courses in 2019 or 2020, but could not come into the country because of the sudden border closure. So the government has decided that anybody who had already started their course at the bachelor's or the postgraduate level will be allowed into the country, subject to the education provider or the university or the college saying that, yep, this is the list of our students who we would like to have back in the country. So if you are one of those people who already had a student visa to study in New Zealand and started your course in 2019 or 2020, went out of the country and then got caught suddenly by the border closure, just get in touch with your education provider and tell them why you need to be allowed back into the country. And I'm sure they will put your name onto that list, which they forward onto Immigration New Zealand. And the last update for today is about the managed isolation and quarantine facility that the government of New Zealand has set up for people who are returning back into the country. Of course, it is free for New Zealand citizens and residents, but for those of you who are planning to enter the country, there is a fee associated about getting your place in the MIQ, as it is called, which is your managed isolation and quarantine. Earlier, the cost was at about $3,000 for you to be able to get a 2-week stay at one of the designated managed isolation and quarantine facilities. But now the government has taken it up to just a little bit over $5,000. And that's because over the past few months, the government has been analyzing to see what is the actual cost of maintaining a non-New Zealand resident or citizen coming back into the country. And they arrived at the fact that it's costing around $5,000, and hence there's been a little increase in that particular fee as well. But hey, if you're an essential skills worker or somebody coming to join your partner back in New Zealand and you've got to pay that little extra bit of money, not to worry about it, because more than likely you're going to earn that money back in the next 2 or 3 months, but at least you will have the satisfaction of having been reunited with your partner or your family and be together. The other important aspect about the change to the MIQ fee is that if you are a critical purpose entrant into the country, the fee does not change. You're still paying the same old fee which was there, and the new fee is only for those who are people who do not fall under that label of critical purpose workers. Till the next time, this is Arun Jacob from the studios of AJV Global, Hamilton, New Zealand.